There we go. Okay, now you can hear me. Hi, good morning for me. Welcome to live coding. I didn't turn my PC fan off. There we go. Get rid of that hum. Hello, welcome to live coding with me, Rachel. I'm just waiting for the stream to catch up for me so I can make sure everything is going good. Hopefully y'all are having a pretty good week. Today, we're going to start working on, so we have our assistant up on Rasa X, right? And today we're going to start working on our action server. So, make sure I've got the live chat. Hello, Enrique and Osvaldo. Sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly. Welcome. That's good. All right. Sip of tea. Oh, I've got my L3AI mug. L3AI was in June? I don't remember when L3AI is, but if I haven't mentioned it, all the videos from that are now available on our YouTube channel. So you can check out the talks if you didn't get a chance during the conference. Make some tea, a little bit louder. Today, action server. So the way that Rasa assistants work, you always need at least one server. What if you were smaller so I could save you on my other monitor for now? You always need at least one server, and that's the server that runs the assistant and figures out what to say next and does the conversation part of the task. And if you have actions, you need a second server as well. So we do have actions with this assistant, and actions are any code that your assistant runs that's not part of having the conversation. Hi, Atku, and Enrique, new mug, yes. Well, I've had it for a while. I just don't usually use it during the live streams. I don't know why. I should. It's got a nice little sippy cup. I think the big reason is that it only holds maybe like 10 ounces, and I usually drink more coffee than that. But Atku, I was wondering how I can use dialect quiz bot in Flutter. Ooh, I am not. So Flutter is a framework for building mobile apps. As I think eventually it'll be for everything, right? You can use it for websites or mobile apps that lets you do both Android and iOS with the same app. And I believe we actually have a blog post about using Flutter and Rasa that someone posted. Let's see if I can find it. Let's try the Rasa site. That might be a better place to look. Short answer, I don't know. I have not previously used Flutter. I've never actually really done any mobile development. It's not my I'm looking for the blog. It's not really my background. But if I can find this blog post, Flutter. Oh, maybe it was Kotlin. Maybe it wasn't Flutter. How do you spell Kotlin? Well, I don't remember. Yeah, I don't know. That's the answer to your question. Sorry for the tangent. Yeah, if anyone does have more Flutter experience, please feel free to jump in and help Atku out. Okay, so your conversation is running on your Rasa server, which is what we have up and running on Rasa X. Your action server is the server that runs all of the other code for all of the other things that your assistants do. All of that code is stored in this actions.py file, I guess. Woo, I'm struggling today. A little bit more tea, that'll help. So our assistant runs quite a bit of code in addition to just the conversation part. So it has an elicitation form which is how we ask a bunch of dialect quiz questions without me writing out the story. First, you ask a question, and then you get the answer, and you store the answer. And then you ask another question, and then you store the answer, and you get the answer. And instead, it just steps through all of the slots that we want in order. And oh my goodness, sorry. Make sure you are not making any noise. Hush. There we go. So to collect the answers, we need to run the actions server. And the other thing that we're doing with our actions is we are actually, we're also doing, data validation. And we do have a bug in this code that I need to go back and fix. But for now, I think we're going to spend a little bit trying to get the action server running in our Rasa X instance. And the other thing that our action server does is it actually, once we've run the quiz and we've asked people all of the questions and we have all of the answers to all of their questions, we run a classifier to try and not predict, but to say where in the United States people use words most like whoever has finished filling out the quiz. And in this case, we're doing the 3 states that our classifier identifies as being the most likely. So that's what our actions folder does, actions file does. And in order to do those things on Rasa X, we need to add, I'm just cleaning up the white space. In order to add those things to Rasa X, what we need to do is we need to create an action folder, an action server rather, and have that running in the cluster that's hosting Rasa X. So the way to do that, and at first I was like, oh, this will be very straightforward, and that's because I've done it before, but I have done it on Mac, and then I remembered that it involves Docker. And my experience with Docker on Windows has been that it's a little bit different. So my plan today is to work on creating this action server image for as long as we don't run into weird dependency issues. And when we run into dependency issues, we will work instead on our, what's it called? Bug. Wow, a little bit more tea. We'll work instead on trying to find that bug. So right now, when I'm testing the classifier, it gives answers that I would expect, but in the assistant, the classifier always gives the same answers. So somewhere, probably in our data validation or our slot mapping, there is an error that means that the information that's being passed to the classifier is all zeros, right? So we'll talk about that when we get to it. First off, let's give it a shot and see if we can start working on our action server image. Yeah, so let's start by following along in the Rasa docs. I'm just going to pull these over to another window so I can follow along. So, and one thing that I am going to need to do is create a requirements file, but I just want I don't want to do like pip freeze because that's going to be everything that I've installed with pip in this environment, and that's too many things. So that's a second thing that we have to do. But first, let's make a directory. I don't think any of this is going to work. It might. Let's find out. Yep. All right. Okay, that did work. Fantastic. Sorry, the reason I thought it might not work is because I am working on Windows, so I don't remember if the command is make directory, but a lot of like shell commands are different in the Windows shell. All right, so we've created a new directory called actions, and we should be able to see it. Oh, beans. Sorry, I'm in the wrong directory. Am I? No, actually, I think that was fine. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm gonna redo that. So I just removed the directory because I thought it was in the wrong place. but I think it's in the right place. Yeah. Okay, it should be on the same level as data and models and tests. Okay, so that's good. And then I'm going to move my actions file. So this one that we're looking at here, this actions.py, into that directory. So move actions, no, actions.py into ACTIONS.py. I don't want to misspell this because that will, so it should be in here now. Sure is, fantastic. Okay, excellent. And we're working with Linux shell commands here. And then we want to create an initialization file, init.py, to indicate that this is a Python module. All right, so touch doesn't work in PowerShell. PowerShell equivalent of touch. So touch looks for a file, and if it's there, Windows equivalent of touch. Okay, so it looks like the Windows equivalent is type null, and then, I think I typed that wrong. Type null less than sign, and then 1 2 1 2.py. Yes, that did not work either. Alrighty, well, go up a directory and see if it works if I am looking inside a specific directory. Perhaps that will work. Albert Fox says, how many words per minute can you type? Are you a fast typer? I don't know, man. A reasonable amount, I would say. I do make a lot of oh no, okay, it's there. Okay, so why did I get this fascinating? Okay, so I got this error that touch is not a recognized command, and yet it did seem to actually work. So that's something that happened. Questions. Uku, I guess you're trying to find this one on the blog. Oh, I'm assuming you're sharing a link that I can't see from Uku. Enrique says MD on Windows to make directory. So I cannot install Ubuntu on Oracle Box. Error. Hardware virtualization is enabled. Acceleration section. Ooh. That I would probably ask on the VirtualBox site. That sounds like a sort of a hardware problem. And yes, I am on Windows. Okay, and it looks like Eunice is hopping in to help Swan with his installation issues. Fantastic. Thank you. All right, so next stage. I should say, I don't know how to do this all off the top of my head. I looked at the docs like anybody else. Okay, so what we've done so far is we've created this new folder called Actions. We've moved our Actions file into it, and then we've created a new initialization. And the reason that we want to do this is when so we're not creating an image from scratch. We're creating an image based on the Rasa SDK image. And this particular format means that we'll be able to automate a lot of stuff and won't have to futz around. And I do need to talk about my additional requirements. So I have, like I said, I don't want to try pip freeze, but I've heard about this other library called piprex that should be able to only get the requirements for a specific space after that, a specific project directory. How are you doing, Rachel? I'm tired. Let's see if this works, because this would make my life a lot easier. And I do want to specify versions because I am using serialization for my model, and I want to make sure that I'm trying to deserialize my model with the same versions of all of the packages and dependencies it has that I serialized it with. Otherwise, you run into weird errors. So now we should have a requirements.text. Fantastic. Great. Okay, we don't have that many. So fuzzy wuzzy, which is for the fuzzy matching for the data validation. So people can input any string that they want, and we're using fuzzy wuzzy to match it to the multiple choice question answer. And NumPy for numeric computing, pandas for data frames, XGBoost. Oh, actually we do not need. Get rid of that. Doop. And here I can also peace out. All right. XGBoost was it's a machine learning library for a specific type of model that we did use initially and are no longer using, so we can get rid of that. JobLib, which we're using for serialization and deserialization. The Rasa SDK, which is what gives us the code to interact with our Rasa assistant in Python. And then scikit-learn, which is for various machine learning stuff. So that looks good. I think we are good to go there. All right, back to the docs. And I believe it needs to actually be called something else. Yeah, so it needs to be called requirements dash actions dot text. So can I edit the file name? Rename, there we go. ACTIONS. All right, fantastic. And again, I want to make sure my file names are correct because this is what is expected in the Docker container that we create. And if we get the file names wrong, we're going to have to do stuff by hand, and I would prefer not to. And more discussion about the hardware acceleration, how that might make your Rasa install weird. So all right, so now that we have that, we can actually create the Docker file. This is the bit that I am particularly nervous about. And the reason for that is because I'm working on Windows now. Our Rasa X server is Ubuntu 16.04. So we're not going to be able to test it locally. We're just going to have to push it and like hope that it works. And the thing that I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to send it to a repository. So we'll find out. All right, so let's create a new file named Docker file right in here. Pop that open. Nope. One more up in here. All right, new file. Capital D, Docker file. That looks right. Got my little Docker whale. Okay, and I'm copying this, and I'm going to see if I need to do anything to change it. Okay, extend the official Rasa SDK image. So we're gonna, this is the Docker file that we're going to be working from, so we don't have to start from scratch, thankfully. Use a subdirectory as a working directory. Now my question is, will this be created, or do I need a directory called app? And I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to try without changing anything and see if that works, and then we'll change stuff if we need to. Copy any additional, I'll move me a little bit. Copy any additional custom requirements if necessary, uncomment the next line. All right, we do. So this is the file that we have in here that has the requirements. Change back to root to install dependencies, which we will do, and we do want to do this, so this is going to install all of the packages that we need for our code to run. And then copy the action folder to the working directory, and then make sure that we don't run into root. Okay, so I think, so this is all the instructions that we need to build the Docker file, and it's not that big, again, because we were working from an existing file. Your Docker file should be an actions directory. No, sorry. No worries. Not a problem. All right. So, move me back a little bit. Hi. Will this work? We'll find out. Okay, so saving that. And then, where is my... I've lost my page in the documentation. Let's see if I can find it. Oops. Did I close it? I was literally just... Okay. Let's see if I can get it back. There we go. Okay. So here we go. We've done that step, and then you can build the image file via the following command. Docker build. Yeah, okay, so I think that this is the part that's not going to work, because I think I did not get the Docker command line app running, and it is in... okay, good to know. So if I just type Docker, I think I'm going to get an error. Let me see, or maybe it will work. Do I remember my Docker username? Absolutely, I do not. No, I for sure do not. Okay, so it is installed. That's good. Good. Okay, so Docker is working, and I would need to go digging for my username. So I think I'm going to call this for here. The next things that we have to do are we need to upload our assistant to not our assistant. We need to upload our Docker image to Docker repository, and then the Rasa X version of the assistant will we're gonna run a command, so we'll basically restart the instance and ask for it to grab a copy of the Docker file and add it to our cluster. And I don't want to go digging for my username right now. But Docker's installed, which is fantastic, because I must have installed it at some point in the past, and I only remember struggling and not being able to get it to work. Let's see if we can figure out what this bug is, so that the specific code that we do upload work good and doesn't work. That's what I would prefer. All right, save that for later. Enrique says, work directory creates and moves into a directory, copy to put your local file in a Docker image, and eventually the containers created from it. Oh, these are Docker commands. Thank you. I'm gonna have to put it on, I think, Docker Hub. I don't know, somewhere. Let's see if we can figure out this bug, and then we'll finish up on Friday. I'll go find my username and get it all working. Okay. So the problem that we have with our assistant right now is that it always gives us the same answers. And those are the answers that it would give us if all of the column contents are 0. So we have one hot encoded are pretty, I mean, it's not huge, but we're asking, I think, 26, 27 questions, and each of those questions has quite a few answers that it could be. And what we've done is we've taken each of those possible answers and created a new column for them. So we end up with a data frame that I think is 175 columns wide. And for each column, it'll be a 1 if the user said that answer and that question pair, and it'll be a 0 if they didn't. And right now, what's happening is that when we run the full assistant, we always get answers back as if the person has a 0 in all of those columns, but they shouldn't. They should have a 1 in one of the columns for each of the questions. So something has gone wrong somewhere in our actions file, and today we're going to try and figure out where. All right, so it could be in the elicitation form, or it could be in the dialect detect action, and I'm not sure which one it will be. This one says, Mia, I'm losing interest in data science. How to be motivated? Yeah, it's always hard. I mean, on the one hand, it's okay to be bored. Like, work is not going to be exciting all the time. I would say my sort of general recommendation for people who are studying data science on their own is to pick a project that you are interested in, besides like, I'm going to learn X techniques, and then work on that. So you know, maybe you really like sports and you want to create, you know, real-time visualizations as like sports information comes in. I mean, that's not a great example right now because there's not a lot of sports going on. Or maybe you want to build a game with some sort of probabilistic component, or maybe you want to, you know, build yourself, maybe you track like what groceries you get and you want to predict the next time you should buy eggs, and that's something that you work on for yourself. So find a project that you're excited about and work on that. That's my recommendation in general. Hello, Douglas. All right. So, where is our problem? I'm pretty sure it's not in the collecting of the entities, because, actually, you know what? I'm pretty sure it's not in the form. And the reason I know that it's not in the form is because when we take the quiz, at the end of the quiz, all of the answers are passed back out, just like as a list, which I do mostly for bug reporting. And I remember those being fine. Like, the answers are okay. The problem is somewhere else. Douglas says, where did you learn AI? From what platform? Self-taught or not? Thank you. So I sort of learned it as, that's a complex question. So I took a bunch of machine learning and statistics courses in graduate school as sort of part of the work I was doing around my dissertation. And then I had to finish my dissertation. So that was my project that I cared about, that I needed to do. So I also did a lot of sort of self-study. If you're looking to learn specifically like machine learning engineering, the Fast AI course is good if you like courses. Or you can use the project-based approach. Okay, so I'm pretty sure it's not in the elicitation form. can I actually see all my... I think it's in the detect dialect action. And my guess, could be wrong about this, is that it's probably this mapping. So we left ourselves this to do last Wednesday, because I was out Thursday, Friday. Had a lovely chill time. And I am like 90% sure that this is the problem. So let's see if I can pull up. I'm pretty sure I removed the sample file that we had in here. Let's see, and that would be in model bits, I think. Yeah, okay, so here's the empty data structure. And looking at these, I can see that these are all underscore lowercase, but I don't know if that was done by the pandas command that we're using to create the one-hot encoding from the, narrower data frame. So I don't know that that's the problem. Let's see if we can open the other project. There we go, this one. Yeah, I'll save that. I think I mostly just, yeah, okay, so I'm pretty sure that is the problem. So you can see in this data structure, I have the column name, the question name, and then the content. And I'm pretty sure that these are not the same. So can I get... Is this the one that I ended up using? County cleaned correct. Geocoded data from latitude and longitude. I need to make sure that I have the correct data set, otherwise I'm going to be very upset. Let's see if this works. So what yes, that's my notebook, I'm pretty sure it's okay. Say the whole canon. Okay, so this is the sample pipeline, empty data structure. I need the notebook where I did the classification. Yes, trusted. Where I did the classification in the first place. Dialect data cleaned correct, and was this? Yeah, okay, this is the correct one. So dialect data clean correct is the correct data set, and these look like they are all go back to my other one. So these look like they're all lowercase, but I do want to check if the mapping itself is the same. So let's go back to our assistant and then back to our actions. I'm just going to paste this here. Okay, so same here, should be caught. Q050 is the second person plural. Yes. Q58, yard sale 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I'm pretty sure at this point that the difference is just that the Q's are the wrong case, and also this leading 0. So let me get rid of all that and see if that fixes our problem. And obviously the ones that are in the hundreds are not going to have a leading 0. Rachel, couldn't you do this with a regex or a script? There's not that many. I also don't like to use regexes on code because I think that it creates areas for concern. Sean says, working towards quantum machine learning. Oh, okay. Do you have a GitHub repository of this code? I sure do. Let me, and we have done this to do, so I'm gonna get rid of that. Let me post that in the Twitch real quick. Una says, what do you like? Data science's name suggests science on data, which means that science can be applied on a different field. Yeah, definitely. Robbie, do I need deployment knowledge in data science? It depends on what specifically you are working on. I would say knowing about deployment will make it easier for you to find jobs and work with your coworkers. If you are working in a small team, you are likely to need to do the deployment yourself. If you're working in a larger team with data science, data engineers, or machine learning engineers, you don't necessarily need to do the deployment yourself, but it will make you more flexible if you know how to. And even if you don't do it day to day, just sort of having an idea of the process will make it easier for you to set up your work in such a way as to make your coworkers' lives easier. So I think it's good to know. And Nia says, it depends on if you're alone in a small team or big team. Yeah, definitely something to consider. Yeah. What was I doing? Something. What did we do? Okay, so we changed this. Let's test our assistant and see if it works. And I think this will also be helpful for folks who are just joining to see how the assistant works. So let's pop that up. So the first thing that I need to do is, do I need to change the directory for that, or does it know that the action server? Fantastic. So we, this command run actions runs the action server, which runs sort of the other code that's not just having the conversation part of the assistant. And we moved our actions.py file into this actions folder, and I wasn't 100% sure if we needed to specify that, but it looks like it is fine and we don't need to. So keeping the action server running, we're going to interact with our assistant in the shell. So this will create the second server, or an instance of the second server, which is the joblib is deprecated. Install joblib. Build models. I'm pretty sure I pickled just with joblib though. I think we're good. I think I didn't use the scikit-learn joblib functionality. Ooh, if we did, we'll get an error instead of output from our modeling code. Okay, so what were we doing? So we have our assistant up and running. You can see that the Rasa server is up and running. This is what does the conversation part of the assistant. Let's do it. Let's start by saying hi. Robbie says, I can make an app in Shiny, but in India there's no job for R. I don't know much about the Indian job market, unfortunately, so I cannot offer more information there. I will say, at least in the US, there are lots of organizations that are looking specifically for data dashboards and ways to sort of like keep tabs on stuff, and for that, Shiny is really good. So you might be able to say, I'm building X, and then use Shiny for it. Cross says, project can take a long time. You can get lost. You question why you're doing what you're doing at all. If you can remember a time you've struggled to stay committed, what truly helped? Yeah, that's a good question. In terms of my PhD, like if I didn't finish, I would stop being paid. So continuing to want to eat food was a good motivator for me. I think it'll depend on what you pick. If you pick something that you or someone in your life really needs or wants and would genuinely make their life better, which I think is just like a good litmus for software engineering projects in general, then I think you'll be motivated to finish it because you'll want to use or see someone use the final result. So, yeah. Yeah, and it's easy to get frustrated. And I would say if you're feeling really stuck, take some time away from it. I like to go for a walk, or like, clean the house. That can be really helpful. Just do something where you're focusing on something else, and then a lot of times I'll sort of come up with bug fixes while I'm doing other stuff. All right, yes, I would love to take a dialect quiz. And I added this information about it being on the live code. So when we share our assistant, roly-poly, I think that's what I say. So when we share the assistant finally, people will know that people might see their answers, which is, Sean says, master's for work purposes, doctorate for research. Good advice from my professor. Yeah, definitely. Doctorate degrees are training for research and being a professor, and there are many more doctoral students than professor roles. Got soda. Yeah. Yana says, add some print messages if you want to debug. Y'all, so for the thing that would be most useful for debugging here would be if I turned on logging when I started the Rasa Action server, but I sure didn't. Yeah, it'll be fine. Concat, different. Enrique says crawfish. Oh no, so a crawfish is aquatic. Also, I was curious about it. No word for this. And crawfish are very, very old and were around during, not Pangaea, but I think Gondwana land. So they are very widely dispersed. Crawfish, crayfish. I think I say crayfish more often. Enrique says, I finally learned it. What a crawfish is? Yeah. Also crustaceans. No word for this. So this is just the questions from the quiz that people would go through and answer in line. I call that a sub, I guess. What do you call a small road parallel to the highway? Access road. Yeah, I think it would be really interesting for people who are English as a second language learners to take the quiz, because then I think you'll learn more about where in the United States, assuming it is like an American variety of English, maybe your instructor was from, or the person who wrote your textbook. I studied French for in high school and some of college. And what I learned was that some of the words that I've been told were like French words that everyone says. Most of them were just really dated. It would be like teaching somebody to say groovy whenever they like something in English, which is a pretty dated term. Highway. Robbie says, in India it's a ghost's wedding, if you didn't know. Oh, I didn't know. So it's when it's raining and sunny at the same time. Yard sale. So all of these questions are being asked by the elicitation form. Rubbernecking. And the way that elicitation forms are handled is going to be changing in Rasa 2.0, so important for you to know. So instead of it being part of the SDK, it's going to move to part of Rasa open source. So the way that you handle them will be a little bit different, and I'll have to go back and update my assistant. Frosting. If you're spreading it, it's frosting, I think. I actually did a whole blog post about that in grad school. Lawyer boy. Also, once I have my action server running with my Rasa X installation, I could save a conversation that I have and use that as a test. So in the future, I can just run that test instead of having to do it all by hand. But I also think it's good to actually sit down and use your assistant, particularly during the prototyping phase. Kitty corner. I could also say catawampus, but I know that that's not in the trading data. Firefly. Or lightning bug. Lightning bug, like, I think I tend to say firefly more. Verge. That's a brew through. Hopefully that's how you spell through. And a water fountain is the thing you drink water from in school. And these are just my answers and what I would say. All right, so you can see that these are the answers that have gone through the data validation. So the reason I'm saying is that those three answers together are the answers that you get if you have 0 for all of them. So did I save you? Were you saved? Yep. So that was not the problem, unfortunately. So yeah, I think I am going to add some print statements as Eunice suggested. So I know that the problem is not in the data validation, it's not in the elicitation form, because these are the answers that I expect. And as you can see, I said I think I have no word for this for the first one. I think this was like the night before Halloween. And that was, through data validation, was matched to the closest answer, which was I have no term or expression for this. Did I say access road twice? That's odd. That's very odd. Access road should not show up twice in our data validation. So it was once after sub, all right, and then once, okay, maybe that's the source of the error. We had a problem with access road previously because it had a space in it. I don't think it is, but it would be good to know if we were doing the validation wrong. So here's validate side road. That's the one that should be giving us access error, or access road rather. All right, and that only shows up once. And then, oops, ESS. All right, it only shows up once in our database as well for a side road. Ooh, odd, very odd. Okay, so it looks like changing this was not the problem, or not the only problem, or has not Am I using this formatted user input anywhere? Because right now that's just an empty string. Tracker get slot, formatted responses. All right. Utter working on it. Slot question key, self.slot key db. Formatted responses equals a series of slot question keys. For index value and formatted response time, formatted response, tracker gets slot question, and formatted responses. Formatted responses to item. Okay, so it's a. Did we get the utter working on it message? We never did. We never got it. So the reason that I'm asking that is that we should get this message working on it when this run command is triggered. Am I using this anywhere though? I might not be. Yeah, it only shows up once. Self-dispatcher tracker domain. Okay, so I'm just gonna get rid of this just in case it's writing over something important. I don't think I need it. I think that was for the first classifier that we worked with. Una says you also have the interactive mode. Yeah, I could. Robbie says, I think in your file only 3 states are there. So in the initialization seed, every time you get the same answer. Interactive mode. Yeah. So we've definitely gone through and tested the classifier pipeline previously, and we get the answers I expect out. So I'm pretty sure the problem isn't in here. I'm pretty sure it's in the way that once we've collected and validated all the answers, we are getting the answers into the classifier. Yeah, Anna says, I want to watch bed, it's midnight. Please go to bed. The recording's available, so. Okay. Slot key database. Database of slot values and corresponding questions. All right. So we've used this. Placeholder messing for guessing data. All right. So what are we doing with this? We are. So we're looking at the slot key database, and then we're getting the keys. So the number, the question numbers. And from there, for each index. Okay, so I think that's the numeric index and not the key from the dictionary. We're going to the tracker, which is where the conversation history is stored, including all the slot values that we have collected. And we're getting the slot, and we're getting slot question key dot index formatted responders dot index. Okay, so I think this must be actually. I think this must actually be the dictionary key, not the index. Right? Or at least it should be, because otherwise we're relying on the answers being in the same order every time. And I don't know that that's the case, because the order of these answers here is not the order of the, is it still on my clipboard? Nope. Is not the order of the questions that occur in the input data. Okay, so this is to get, okay, so this run code, it looks like is never triggered, because if it were triggered, we would get this message working on it. And we never see that here. So it could be that this code is correct, we just don't see it. Why aren't we seeing it? I think run should be the name. Is detect dialect not being run? Question mark. No. If detect dialect, maybe I, so, sorry, I'm just thinking. So it could be that detect dialect was run at one point and no longer is. And the values that it had the first time it was run are being used every time because of the depth of history of the tracker score. So if I want to check that, I should go to the domain and I should give actions detect dialect, okay. I should give the detect dialect slot, woohoo, a value. Or just do that. I think that will work as well. Okay, so this means that the slot will be empty by default. All right, let's give this another try and see if we can. Do you have unsaved changes? I think you do. All right. Goodbye, goodbye, and goodbye. All right, so the chaotic server is killed. Start a new one. I'm going to run the logging. It says, is the action loaded? I think it has been, because if the action server, if it was a problem with the server, it would also affect the form, and it looks like it's not. I think. Rasa run. Actually, I can do it right here. Because I always forget. I think it's just like flag L to get the logging. Sorry, the line spacing is awful. Store the logs. I don't know that I need that. Okay. Oh, it's V for verbose, not L for logging. I don't know why I can't remember that, but every time I forget about it. Browser run actions. Oh, I actually meant to do 2 V's and 1 flag, but it's fine. Okay, and now let's try the shell and see how that works. Enrique says, shouldn't return the name of the action in the domain file. So the specific action that's doing it is detect dialect, which, I'm gonna double check. Detect. I'm pretty sure that's right. Sorry, here it is. Here's the name. So detect dialect. Yeah, so I think it is, I think it's right. Unless I change something that caused it to not be. No, I just want my, there we go. Let's go through the quiz, and then we can check the action server as we do this to make sure that it's doing the form. Roly-poly. Let's see. Oh, well, beans, it's not doing nothing with the verbose. Okay, so I think it just ignored this tag because I did it wrong. All right, back to the drawing board. Let's restart everything. says we saw it registered in the other console. Yeah, it's definitely, like, I think the action server is running. I think it's a problem in the detect dialect thing not happening. All right. Actions. All right. Let's see if it'll work this time. Let's try launching the form. My volume's a little low. Oh, sorry. I'm also just sort of muttering. Is it not V for verbose? Because it should have triggered the form action, and we should have seen that information in the action server. Yeah, I think I need some time to poke at this and think about it a little bit more. No, I have more tea. I haven't finished. It's not a form. Did I not save that? And that shouldn't be a problem, because I don't think I used that user input anywhere. Yeah, no, I didn't. Okay, so I think that's just something that we needed for the original assistant, and we don't anymore. Or the original version with XGBoost, which worked, but did not. What's the word I'm looking for? The answers were ridiculous. It was not a good classification model, and it's because there were some problems with it. So we restarted basically, and this one does work pretty well once it's up and running. Other things I'm thinking about, it could be a serialization problem. I knew that was, a possibility going in. But if that's the case, then we should still trigger the detect dialect action, and we should still get the working on it message, and we don't. We just get the information from the slot. So the action itself is not being triggered. Let's check stories. Says, can you run Rasa and debug too? Yes, I can. Although previously I'd been assuming that the problem was with the action server and not Rasa core, but it could very well be with yeah, so after affirm, we are getting this utter slot values. We are getting the utter dialect value, but as far as I can tell, we're not getting the detect dialect action. And the reason I can tell that is because we don't get the working on it message, which, let's see if I can find it. Oh wait, do I not have? Oh, okay, so that might actually not be the problem. It might be a problem with the classifier itself. I guess I don't have an utter working on it. So let me add that, I guess. Okay. So that might be why we're not seeing the message. So maybe the actions is running. The action is running, and the problem is with the classifier. That could be it. Or the data preparation into the classifier, because the sample pipeline was working. Let's give that a shot. Yes, I want to trust it. Okay, so this is our little sample pipeline. And job lib not defined. Run this. So from our sample data, we get Pennsylvania, Idaho, and Utah. And if we try with the empty data structure, we should get the same answers that we get out. What was it called? Empty underscore data underscore structure dot CSV. Pretty sure beans are empty. Oh wait, I probably wrote it in another place, so let me just copy and paste. I just want to show you that or I guess confirm for myself that the results from the empty data, yeah, are these ones. So the sample data has, full answers in it, and then the empty data structure is just all zeros, and we are getting out the classification as if they were all zeros. So let's give this, I'm trying to decide if I want to do one more run through and see if I can actually get debug working. Why do I have such a hard time remembering this syntax? Let me just pull up the docs really quick. It's the legacy docs. I want the recent ones. Let me pull this up. So command line interface. No, just get bigger. I think I'm about ready to call it, actually, because I am a bit tired. Thinking about it. Rasa train, init, run actions, persistent, interactive, start server, blah blah blah, actions. Okay, so it is the double V that I want. All right. Yeah, let's give it one more shot. I think it'll be helpful for me to pinpoint as much as possible where the problem is so that we can get back on this on Wednesday. All right. And it says debug is -VV on the action server. Thank you. All right, clean slate. Everybody leave. No, not you. I'm talking to my terminals. Peace out. Okay. Run actions, 2 V's, and we're just gonna be delighted by the amount of information that we get. And then we're gonna do Rasa shell, which we should be able to, I think you can also do debug in Rasa shell, just to make sure that we're triggering the actions that I expect. As you can see, there's a lot more information. All right, so let's try it. Let's see what the specific problem is. Listen. Yes, I would love to take a quiz. And then we're gonna, okay, so the elicitation form has started. Roly-poly. We're gonna go through and answer all these questions again. Rachel, couldn't you do this automatically with a test? Shh. I could. Sometimes it's nice to just sit and take a quiz though. All right, y'all ready to go? Not something I'm asking people these days. Those are different. So it looks like the elicitation form, so the action server is definitely running, the elicitation forms are working. No word for this. All seems to be doing more or less what I'm looking for. Crawfish. Elicitation form, yep. No word for this. Also, at some point I'm going to get around to fixing this, but probably not today. The sort of like lag between each question is a Windows localhost thing. And it's just something I haven't gotten around to handling. Highway. Okay, so yeah, I think once I finish this and we have sort of more information about what is and isn't happening, we can call it a day, and then on Friday we'll come back. And Friday we'll hop back in and we will, first of all, host my Docker image and then pull it down into my Rasa X instance, and we should be able to use our assistant from Rasa X and do like the whole quiz and get the answers back, and then, well, I guess it makes more sense to fix this bug before putting it in the Docker image, because then I'm gonna have to redo all those steps again, or update everything once we do fix it. So maybe we'll continue working on the bug and then figure it out. Rubbernecking. Raw steak, excuse me. Boy. Take a peek over at the action server. Frosting. And you can see the validation is happening for each one in row. So rubbernecking was extracted as the slot for rubbernecking, lawyer for boy, and when we go back we should be asked about kitty corner. And the slot names aren't like the canonical correct answer or anything, it's just what makes it easiest for me to keep track of something. Firefly. So the elicitation form is working well, the action server is working well. I think we knew that though. I don't think this was the area where we had worries. Water fountain, getting there. I think we only have a couple more questions and then we'll get the part that we have problems with. Okay. Oh, no, that was the last question. Okay. So, what has happened here? So, it did run the detect dialect action. Okay, so once it was done, it was like, okay, now we need to detect the dialect, which is what we want. Calling an endpoint, an action endpoint to run action detect dialect, so calling to the action server. And here are the answers, which are read back to the person, which is good. And then, okay, so the detect dialect slot was set, and it was set as if the person had entered no information. All right, and so it looks like the detect dialect action was triggered. We did not, let's go back and double check. We did not get the working on it. So the blue text is what the assistant has said. And we did not get the utterance working on it that we would expect to get. So the detect dialect action was run. All right, let's check out the action server again. Oh, that could be it. Well, no, because the classifier is running. It's just giving the wrong answer. All right, so let's see. Submitting the form, deactivated. Receive request to run detect dialect. Finished running detect dialect. So the action is being run. Shouldn't you be in the action.py folder? One moment, hold please. I have a hypothesis, and it's not a flattering one, I would say. Hold on, I'm seeing if it's right. If it is, I'm gonna feel silly. Yeah, okay, so I think we did solve the problem with the mapping. So with the changing the uppercase Q's to lowercase q's and removing the leading zeros. And, oh, sorry, little glitch there. Stream should be back up. Yeah, Eunice says, does fetching from slots work correctly? It looks like it is. We're definitely getting the things. I think what the problem was I moved the actions .py file into the actions folder, but I did not. I made a copy, right? I didn't delete the old one, and I updated the slot names in the new one, but not the old one. I'm gonna go through one last time to go through the quiz. And I'm not gonna actually say answers, I'm just gonna say random strings of text, and those will be mapped to whatever is closest. Very scientific. And we should get out not the answer that is, what are the 3 states? It's like Massachusetts, Washington, Alabama, I think. Not what I'm looking for. Okay. Should I have turned on logging for the action server? I don't need that type of advice right now. I think I figured it out. We'll find out. I know I'm so tired. Just I haven't been sleeping super well lately, but knowing why does not make it suddenly better, unfortunately. Beep, boop, boop. And when we see the data validation, you'll see that these have been mapped to like kind of random stuff. but we shouldn't have zeros across the board, right? They should all be mapped to something, and even if every answer is other, we should still have, you know, ones in some of our columns and not zeros in all the columns. So hopefully the classification will change. If we spent all that time looking at stuff and I was like, this looks right, and it was right the whole time, I'm gonna feel like a little bit of a dingus. All right, okay, so that wasn't it. Beans. But as you can see, my random answers were just sort of like mapped to things that have A's in them, basically. Well, that wasn't it. Okay, I'm going to call it here, I think. Not entirely clear where the issue is. But that's a question that Friday Rachel can answer when she's had more strong coffee. Una says, having solved this will let you sleep if it was haunting you. Yeah, it's not especially. I mean, I want it to work good so I can share it with people, but I'm happy to take my time and deal with things as they come up. Okay, so Friday, we're going to keep working on this bug. It's in there somewhere. Where is it? I don't know. We'll figure it out. And then we'll stick our Docker image up on Docker Hub or wherever I'm going to host it, and then add it to our Rasa X instance, and we should be good to go. And I will see you all then. Oh, my volume a bit? Yeah. And tomorrow we are, oh, that's peaky. Tomorrow we're going to be doing paper reading is what we're doing tomorrow. Wow. So we're starting a new paper. And I think the plan actually is to have me and Maddie and Vincent all in the reading group. So we'll see if schedules work out that way. And yeah, we'll talk about it tomorrow, 9 o'clock a.m. Pacific time, same time as this stream. And I will have more coffee ahead of time, so I'll be perkier. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. Sorry if it wasn't a super satisfying ending. I really thought we might have got there at the last second, but we didn't, and that's okay. And we will talk to each other tomorrow, or if you're waiting for more live coding on Friday, same time.